Hi there. This is Mrs. Alexander, and I'm getting everything organized so that we can go over key 63 and 64 in your more practice and homework books, and then a little bit of test prep. So here we go. There's our page. Our lesson has been how to rename mixed numbers when we're subtracting. So I want to get rid of that little screen at the top, but that's all right. Okay. Oh, there it goes. All right. So we start off, it says, Lawrence has some rope. He gives a piece of the rope to his sister. How much rope does he give his sister? So we're starting off with estimating. Here it is showing us that he has 3 1/3 foot before giving. He has 1 5/6 of a foot after giving. How much does he give his sister? So we're going to start off with our estimate. If I look at my information, I have 3 1/3. That's about, we've talked in class, that could be 3, 3.5. Let's go with 3 1/2. That's about 3.5. And then 1 5/6 is about 2. So we're going to say 3 minus 2 is 1, 1/2 minus no halves. We're going to say it's about 1 1/2 feet that he gave to his sister. About 1.5 feet. Let's find the answer. 3 1/3 minus 1 5/6. First things first, I need a common denominator. That's our first step always. So I have a 3, I have a 6. I'm going to say our common denominator can be 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. And I don't even have to change the other fraction. Now we're going to pause and look. Can I do 2 minus 5? No, there are a couple of ways that we could do this. So I know one way we've talked about in class. I'm going to go over here to the side. 3 2 6 minus 1 5/6. A lot of you like to jump right into the subtracting. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2/5 minus 5/6. Well, that's a minus 3/6. So right here, we still have to subtract that fractional part. We haven't done that yet. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to rename my 2. It's going to be 1 6/6 minus 3/6. So now I can solve that. I'm going to go back up here. 1 minus 0 is 1. 6/6 minus 3/6 is 3/6, and our label is feet. Is that a reasonable answer? We said that it was going to be about 1.5 feet. 1 3/6, if we were to simplify that, would be exactly 1.5. So yes, our answer is reasonable. The estimate is exactly the answer. So definitely reasonable, right? All right, good. So hopefully you understand this way. I'll do a variety of ways just to show them all on this video. Any of the 3 ways, as long as you understand those steps and you get the correct answer, you can use any of the ways I'm going to show today. All right. A science article is 5 1/4 pages long. Stephanie reads 1.5 pages. How many more pages does Stephanie have to read to finish the article? All right, well, I have 5 1/4 minus 1 1/2. Step 1, find a common denominator. We're going to use 4, so I get to leave 5 1/4. I'm going to adjust 1 1/2 to 1 2/4. For this one, I'm going to use what we've been calling the Columbia C. Remember, that means we start at the bottom, we work our way up to the top, and we have to do that to both of our fractions. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21/4. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 8/4. I can subtract 21 minus 8, and I'm going to get 13/4. I can't leave it like that. Now I have to go back the other way and change it back into a mixed number. How many 4s are in 13? 4 goes into 13 3 whole times with 1/4 left over. How many more pages does she have to read to finish the article? 3 1/4 pages. So we've done subtracting without regrouping first and getting a negative fraction that we then have to adjust and subtract. Now we've done the Columbia C. Let's look at number 3 here. 6 1/10 minus 4 1/2. Find a common denominator. I'm going to use that 10. 6 1/10 minus 4 1/2 becomes how many tenths? 4 5/10. Now, this time I'm going to adjust my lead fraction first. So I'm going to take 1 away from the 6. That leaves me 5. That 1 I took away now becomes a fraction. We need a whole fraction of tenths. So that would be 10 tenths. And I already had that 1, so that's 11 tenths. We talked about how we get that answer of 11 tenths. Remember the shortcut. Take 1 away from the whole number. 6 becomes 5. Add your denominator to your numerator, and that's your new fraction. Minus 4 5/10 equals 1 6/10. Good. And again, that can be simplified. If you are simplifying, you don't have to at this point, but that would be 1 3/5. Number 4, 3 2/5 minus 1 3/4. Find the common denominator. We're going with 20ths. 3 8/20. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. Minus 1 and how many 20ths? 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 5 is 15. I've shown you all of the ways that we can work on this. Do what works for you. If you need to pause it right here, decide what you're going to do and come back. I'm going to do the straight subtracting. 3 minus 1 is 2. 8 minus 15. 8 minus 15 would still be a minus 7/12. Then I'm going to rename my 2 as, oh, wait a minute. Who's going to challenge? Not 12ths, Mrs. Alexander. We're working with 20ths. I apologize. So I'm going to adjust my 2, take 1 away. I need 20 20ths to replace that 1. Now I can subtract my 7 20ths, and I would have 1 13 20ths for number 4. Number 5, 2 2/3 minus 1 8/9. Find the common denominator. We're going to use ninths. So we'll have 2 6/9 minus 1 8/9. I'm going to rename my lead mixed number first. So I'm going to take 1 away, add the denominator to the numerator to replace that 1 I took away. Now I have 1 15/9 minus 1 8/9. 1 minus 1 is 0. 15 minus 8 is 7/9. One more. I'm going to use the Columbia C. 6 1/2 minus 3 6/8. Common denominator, we're going with 8. So 6 1/2 becomes 6 4/8 minus 3 6/8. Columbia C. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 4 is 52/8 minus 8 times 3 is 24 plus 6 is 38. When I subtract, let me box this off so we don't get mixed up. When I subtract 52 minus 30, I get 22/8. Now I cannot leave it as an improper fraction. How many 8s are in 22? I'm going to say 2. 8 times 2 is 16. That leaves 6/8. which again can be simplified to 2 3/4. So I would take either of those answers. All right, there is a math on the spot. I'm going to go ahead and do it with you here. A roller coaster has 3 trains with 7 rows on each train. Riders stand in rows of 6 for a total of 42 riders on each train. The operators of the coaster recorded the number of riders on each train during a run. In the first train, 6 1/6 rows were filled. On the second train, all 7 rows were filled. On the third train, 4 1/2 rows were filled. How many rows were empty on the first train? All right, we've got 3 trains. I'm going to draw a little model for myself here. 3 trains, 7 rows on each train. Okay. Riders stand in rows of 6, so 42. So 6 times 7 is 42. In the first train, 6 1/6 rows were filled. On the second train, all 7 rows were filled. On the third train, 4 1/2 rows were filled. How many rows were empty on the first train? Well, if there are 7 rows, we had 7 rows. And on the first train, there were 6 1/6 that were filled. How many are empty? Again, we can do this a variety of ways. I can adjust my 7 right away, make it 6 6/6 minus 6 1/6, and that's going to give me 5/6 of the rows would be empty. I could do 7 minus 6 is 1. 0 6, I don't have any fractions there, minus 1/6 is still a minus 1/6. So that would get me 6 6 minus 1/6 equals my 5/6 rows. Either way, we get the same answer. So that is good for me. All right. Test prep. Let's see what we can do. You want to pause right here and come back and check your answers since this is getting us ready for the test. That would be a great idea. What is the value of the expression 3 1/3 minus 1 3/5? Common denominator. I'm going to work with 15ths, so that 3 1/3 becomes 3 5/15. 1 3/5 becomes 1 9/15. Remember, whatever you do to the denominator to get to that common denominator, whatever you multiply it by, multiply by your numerator as well. So when I do this, let's see, I'm going to go straight through. 3 minus 1 is 2. 5 minus 9, because 9 is bigger, I'm going to keep that minus sign. I'm going to make it a minus 4/15. And then I would have 1 15/15. That's going to replace my 2 because I need a fractional part to subtract. Minus 4/15 equals 1 11/15. And that would be our final answer. What is the value of the expression 2 1/8 minus 1 1/2? Again, find the common denominator. I'm going to use 8ths. So right away, I know D is out. I'm going to, well, unless I can simplify. Let's see what happens. 2 1/8 minus 1 and how many eighths? 1 4/8. Let's use the Columbia C on this one. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 1 is 17/8 minus 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12/8. I'm going to subtract and get 5/8. Oh, shoo. Letter C. And what is the value of the expression? 4 3/10 minus 2 4/5. Common denominator, I'm going to use those tenths. I'm going to have 4 3/10 minus 2 8/10. I'm going to adjust my lead fraction first this time. I cannot do 3 minus 8 without having a negative, so I'm going to adjust. Take 1 away, 4 becomes 3. Add your denominator to your numerator because that 1 becomes 10/10, but we already had 3/10, minus the 2 8/10, which is going to be 3 minus 2 is 1. 13 minus 8 is 5/10. Ooh, 1 and 5/10. Good. Volunteers spend Friday and Saturday removing trash from a 6 2/5 mile trail. What about that? They complete 4 7/8 miles of the trail on Friday. How many more miles of the trail do they need to complete on Saturday? So the trail total, this is what they complete. What do they need to finish on Saturday? So 6 2/5 is the total. They've already done 4 7/8. Let's start right there. First step, find the common denominator. 5 and 4. Let me think. It's only going to be 40. So 5 times 8 is 40. 2 times 8 is 16. Minus 8 times 5 is 40. 7 times 5 is 35. We have 6 16/40 minus 4. Let me put it over here. 6 16/40 minus 4 35. I just know who was going to call me out on that. I know who you are. You always catch it, and I love it. And 35/40. Let's subtract straight through. 6 minus 4 is 2. 16 minus 35. Because 35 is greater, I'm going to leave that minus sign. 16 minus 35 is going to be 19/40. Now I have to rename because this is a whole 2. I'm going to take 1 away, and I'm going to have 40/40 minus 19/40. And that's going to give me 1 and 21/40 is what I believe they need to complete. That's how many more miles they'll need to complete. That kind of squishy there. We'll have some scratch paper for our tests and our notebooks on other days. So 1 and 21/40 more miles there. Okay. Which expressions, more than one, have a value of 1 and 2/6? We're selecting all. So 5 1/3 minus 3 1/2. Common denominator, 2/6, 3/6. 1 minus 1/6 is going to be, 5 minus 3 is 2. Minus 1/6 is going to be 1 and 6/6 minus 1/6 will be 1 and 5/6. No good. Oh, ripped my paper. I'm so excited. No good for letter A. 4 and 1/6 minus 3 and 2/6. Let's see. I'm going to adjust 3 and 7/6 minus 3 and 2/6 equals 0 and 5/6. No good for letter B. 3 and 1/2 minus 1 and 7/6. 3 and 3/6 minus 1 and 7/6. Columbia C. 18 21/6 minus 13/6 equals 8/6, which equals 1 and 2/6. There it is. I had a little frozen brain for a second. 6 minus 4 and 2/3. Getting kind of squishy. Hang with me. 6 minus 4 is 2. 0/3 minus 2/3 is minus 2/3 equals 1 and 3/3 minus 2/3, which is going to equal 1 and 1/3. Here's the tricky one here. I don't like that they're tricking us like this. We have not done any simplifying or adjusting to find equivalent fractions. But if you look at this, we want this to equal 1 and 2/6. If I multiply my numerator and denominator by 2, I would get 1 and 2/6. So D is actually another correct answer, but they were a little sneaky throwing that one in on you. Sorry. We can talk more about that in class if you have questions. I'll also check the test and see what's happening there, if there are any like that. And then 3 1/6 minus 1 3/6. Let's subtract straight through. 3 minus 1 is 2. 1/6 minus 3/6. 3 is greater, so that's a minus 2/6, which would be 1 6/6 minus 2/6 equals 1 4/6. No good. Only C and D there. Spiral review. Use partial quotients. What? Do we even remember how to do that? Use partial quotients. Oh my gosh. All right. There were a couple of ways that we did this. We could do, oh, I need more room, I think. 1,398 divided by 15. If you remember, we kind of did a hangman kind of way. And I could say, well, if I did 100, that would be 150. If I did 1,000, that would be too much. I'm going to do, if 15 times 10 is 150, I'm going to go 15 times 30. So 15 times 3 is 45. Add that 0, 450. 8, 4. Oh, I'm not too bad. And look, if I double 450, that would be 900. So I'm going to go with 60 here. I'm going to get my 900 and subtract. 15 times 3 would be 45, and I'd be left with 3. So I do believe we're going to have a 30 plus 60 plus 3 equals 93. Remainder 3. Are you remembering that? That was one way we did this. We also did it with a box. I don't have much room. I'm going to let you work on this one. If you can remember that box. 900 plus 20 plus 4 at the top, if you remember, and we're dividing that by 12. See if you can remember that. Pause and try, and let's see. When you come back, I'm going to have the answer. Did you get 77? That was some tricky review right there. I had to even think for a minute. Wait, spiral review for partial quotients. All right. One more. It says use a visual model to find the sum. So we don't have a lot of room for visual models. We could get out our fraction strips and draw them out. We could do, here's 1 whole, remember. So if I have 1/6, if I imagine a dotted imaginary hole there, and I divide it into 6, then I have 1/6 right there. Oh, I better hurry. And then I have 12ths. Woo, and I have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. If I add those together, my 6, I really have 2 6 for every 12. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 12ths would be our answer there. All right. Maybe you got your fraction strips out for that, or you drew it out for yourself. Hopefully you feel good about this lesson. We're going to practice more tomorrow and get you feeling really confident about what you're doing. I will see you later.